morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining into our Kensington live stream today. I am honored to be joined by someone not specifically in the ergo spectrum today, but in education. So school is out for most this summer, but we are not done talking about education. So today I have Tanya Meza with me from Kensington. And Tanya, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do with Kensington and a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Lisa, thank you for having me. I am a K-12 Senior Business Development Manager here at Kensington, specifically work in that K-12 vertical. A little bit about me, I do come from a public education background, so I have experience in that area of public education and have also worked in the technology, education technology for several years. So
Very cool. Yeah. And if you have not tuned into one of our LinkedIn lives before, my name is Lisa Skydebor Schuler, and I am one of the ergonomic experts for Kensington. I come from a background of doing ergonomic consulting and assessments for private and public businesses alike. And so I get to talk about my passion of helping people stay comfortable in their workplace or as students in schools today. So I look forward to talking a little bit more about education and ergonomics together. So the first topic I really want to jump into is we are going to be primarily based for the US audience today. I know sometimes we do have people from Europe or from South America joining us, but with the CARES Act funding that's come out from the pandemic, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the conversations you've heard or some of the trends around ergonomics or maybe risk management in education?
absolutely. Employee health and wellness is an area that I have seen become more prevalent in school districts across the nation. Departments such as risk management, also student nutrition, security, other departments have really started to inquire about ergonomic solutions and specifically what is it that they can do to provide these support, ergonomic support solutions for their employees. The one thing is it is part of what they're calling the Reopening Safely initiatives that come with the CARES Act funding. So again, a lot of these departments are trying to ensure that when they come back into the building that they're providing not only those safety measures, but also some ergonomic solutions for all levels. So kind of what I've been assisting districts with most recently is really setting up a district-wide ergonomic standard for the district, right? So this would include ergonomic solutions at all levels for a school district. So all departments, all buildings, so that includes campuses, that includes district buildings, and additionally, not just, what could that district standard look like for ergonomics, but also what are the specific products that should be included in those catalogs, right? So if a district is setting up their standards, what is the 3 or 4 or 5 products that would be critical to ensure the health and wellness of their employees specific to ergonomics. So it is something that, as I mentioned earlier, I've been in the field of education for many years, but this is definitely a really big focus that I'm seeing specifically with the CARES Act funding and districts using their money for ergonomics.
Yeah, and I think it's great to see that. I've talked about it on other LinkedIn lives in the corporate structure, how ergonomics has been really a mainstream topic now throughout the pandemic. And obviously no one wanted the pandemic to happen, but if we look for the silver lining in any situation, having that focus on ergonomics and the health and well-being of the individual person has been a really great advancement, honestly, across the world. So I say we're focusing on the US with the CARES Act funding, but realistically, it's across the world. More and more corporations and then more and more government structures are looking at how they can help out the education system determine those solutions. So that's a great thing to see. And talking about trends, so I'm going to segue over to something that I think is pretty unique that Kensington does for education. And when I first joined Kensington, I thought, oh, this is so great. I love giving feedback and I love getting feedback about our products, about trends that are going on and that type of thing. So if you could tell us a little bit about what this unique type of focus group that we do is for education, and what kind of benefits you've seen from it, or what kind of insights you might get that might relate to ergonomics, and it may be even broader than that as well.
Yes, focus groups are my favorite. I love having them and hosting them, but more importantly, it's just really what comes of these focus groups. And like you said, it is something unique that Kensington does, and I feel like our team does a really great job with these focus groups. So really, essentially what we do is we work with district technology leaders, and we really we sit down. There's about anywhere between 20 to 50 of us in a room. And we really sit down and take the time to discuss as a group, what are the pain points? What are some of the current projects that they may be working on? And we really also talk about the varying Kensington categories. So one category, such as docking or ergonomics or any of those specific categories that they may need to be looking for solutions for those categories. I do know that they have gotten a lot from that. The feedback from our focus groups is fantastic. It really also turns into a networking opportunity for all of the district leaders that are attending. They rarely get that time, right, where they get to sit down in a room with other district leaders and have some of these really great conversations. So there's a lot of sharing of ideas, sharing of solutions, a lot of collaboration. And what I have found and have liked the most is that when we regroup sometimes, months after our initial focus group, is they talk a lot about how they all still have kept in contact, and they now have this group of other district leaders that they're like, oh, I remember such and such mentioned that, he was working on that project and now I'm needing to do that same project. I'm going to reach out. So, and aside from, the networking and the collaboration and really, honing in on solutions and ideas, none of our attendees leave empty-handed, right? So they all have that opportunity to select Kensington products that they'd like to test in their environments. So they leave with those products that they may, something that they may have already been interested in before, or something in the future that they're planning to implement in the district. And for us at Kensington, it really provides us an opportunity to get feedback from them, where they're using our products in their environment, and they're providing us feedback on what can we do here at Kensington to improve those products, what they love about those products, and sometimes, what is it that they don't like and what they'd like to see in future products. So yeah, it's really a great one. Recently, obviously, they've changed a little bit, right? So we have been doing these virtually. But I will say what's really nice about doing them virtually is we have now been able to have people in the room that are from varying states. So that's also really nice, is to hear what other states across the nation are doing what initiatives are they focusing on. So it has been good to do them virtually, because it allows for some of that, hearing from other areas and parts of the United States and kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm so happy you guys were able to adapt them to a virtual way of doing so. I think, like I said, it's such a unique thing that Kensington has been able to offer in the education spectrum. Now, if people are listening today and want more information or to get connected with those types of focus groups, would it be best to connect to you on LinkedIn to reach out um, and then kind of take it from there as far as what's upcoming and kind of what products are there and that type of thing?
Absolutely. That's a
Okay.
really great way to connect for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm already seeing people coming. Like I said, it's such an honor to see people coming in from all over the world. We've got people from Canada, from the UK, from Auburn University. So there's some great people out there watching. If you haven't commented yet, please let us know where you are viewing from. And we would love to hear from you if you have any questions for Tanya or myself about ergonomics or education or the combination of the two. Then we're happy to answer those too. So feel free to drop a comment there. The next topic I do want to talk about is the clean desk. So we've focused on it a lot in the corporate side, trying to get that return to work initiative going and what people need to have to feel comfortable being back in the office around other people. In a very similar method, probably even more mandatory is with kids and students in the education system, and then also our teachers. So could you tell me a little bit about what you're hearing from the education system and maybe a couple of the Kensington products that we have out there that have been really eye-opening for our customers?
Absolutely. Well, first I'll say there have been a lot of revelations, a lot of realizing of things that should have maybe been in place before. And now they have just really have come to light. So I think the biggest revelation of what I've seen and heard out there is how sanitation should have always been a top priority in schools, right? So now that they look at and are really, really looking at the return to the building with 100% capacity, right? These are definitely some of the things that they are realizing that, one, it should have been in place, but it's not, but let's do it, right? Let's do it. Let's do it right. Let's ensure that we're covering all the bases of what we need to consider when it comes to sanitation. And just that whole clean desk initiative and really ensuring that everyone is thoughtful. That comes with a lot of education, right? So when you look at schools, there's varying levels in a school, even just in a campus, and really looking at what are the levels of education regarding sanitation and our clean initiative that we need to implement as students start coming back into the building. So it's not going to be just so much about teaching students on the rules of getting back into the classroom and don't forget to raise your hand and ask for permission. It's really going to be like, let's make sure we're sanitizing and let's make sure that we're keeping our community here on campus safe and healthy, right? So I think in terms of Kensington products, everyone is very excited about our washable keyboard and mouse. That's one where they thought, oh, of course you guys were the ones to think of that, right? And, like you said, this has been a part of a conversation that other businesses and organizations have been having for many years. And in the education space, it just hasn't been as prevalent. And so I think that solution not only is going to be a huge success in the classroom, in computer lab settings, but one thing that a lot of people have not realized or have really spent the time thinking about is what is it going to look like for our cafeterias now? What are some of those? I mean, our cafeteria student nutrition departments are just like, where has this washable mouse and keyboard been all my life? It just saves so much for them. And implementing a washable keyboard and mouse is, it's the easiest thing you could ever do, right? It's very easy to switch those keyboards and mice out. And it's very easy to implement the the cleaning that needs to occur with those specific products. But again, we're seeing other departments that are also needing these types of solutions. Are the security departments on campus, anywhere, front office department when people have to check in and use a computer to check in, anywhere where there's going to be multiple people that have to access that keyboard or that mouse. The Kensington washable keyboard and mouse set is going to be, what they're going to want to look at for that. I do think, and I will say, I think Kensington, not just because we work for Kensington, but we really have done an amazing job with providing resources to all of our customers, really ensuring that they understand that our products have gone through a rigorous standard, right? So we have products that have the seal of approval for the military sanitation standard. That is very important. I think people more and more are going to be looking for that seal of approval for products, and they are just extremely impressed by the fact that we have, those approved products for that.
Yeah, I think that's been a pretty buzzworthy topic. Like you mentioned, the sanitization should have been around forever. But we really are just starting to pay attention to it and building it into our protocols, whether it's in the office or school systems. And to me, that ties back directly to ergonomics, because many times ergonomics is also related to health and safety, and the hygiene aspect of it. So the wipeable standard that Tanya was speaking of, basically 31 of our products have gone through this rigorous testing, where all of those chemicals that you were seeing when the pandemic started to say, you need to wipe down your stuff with this chemical. Basically, we've tested with the majority of those chemicals, and the products that we put through it all passed, which includes some of our keyboards and mice, as well as one of the big ones for education is the black belt cases too, for our different devices that are attached to our kids or our teachers constantly. So if you are looking for more information on that, we did just recently publish a blog around that standard. So if that is something you're looking into, definitely check out kensington.com in the blog section. Also, the last one, which I'll just give a little teaser to, as it's not coming out till later this year, but if you have seen, we did win the CES Innovation Award for our UV stand, which is a monitor stand with UV light inside. And I will tell you, when I received my sample of it, I was shocked at the size capacity of it, which I think is great for education or going back to the office, that you cannot, I'm used to seeing with the UV things that you can put your phone in it or your keys, and that's it. I joke that you could probably put your whole classroom's keys or IDs or whatever in there at one time. I've actually put about 15 different mice in mine at a time, still had leftover space. So I do think it's important to note that we certainly are advancing in technology, but also trying to integrate them into ergonomics by having it be part of a monitorizer. And so you can lift the laptop up to eye level if you're choosing it as a secondary screen, or your normal computer monitor too. So lots of fun things, and I think we'll continue to innovate and continue to have more products out there in that space as well.
Absolutely. It's a very exciting time for us at Kensington. And I think I had mentioned earlier that when we, not only in our focus groups, but working with school districts now in their ergonomic standard, this is also part of that conversation, exactly what you're saying. It's not just the health and the wellness, it's also the safety and the security of the students. And, our UV sanitation stand is a perfect solution for a classroom. It can still be managed by an adult. So, the students can still maybe go up to it and put their device or their what have you that they're going to sanitize. But it's a really great solution for for the classroom. So really excited. A lot of people are very excited about that particular
I know.
product as well.
I can't wait for it to come out. It's been sitting in my sample section of my office for a little while now. So like I said, I'm happy we can bring it up because we did win the award from CES this year on it. But I'm super excited for that. And I will say, related to the innovation side, so I'm sure some people that are tuning in today are wondering, okay, we're talking about a couple products that are out there. It's nothing groundbreaking to what's out there. Totally understand. But I think one of the main points of this live stream today is to show that ergonomics and education is becoming a mainstream topic, and companies like ourselves and others are taking the role in education and ergonomics seriously so that we are able to figure out what are those next products that we need to design for our younger kids or those older students, and what are those needs. So things like the focus group, and then this advancement with the CARES Act funding, seeing where people are putting that effort in is really exciting for us as a company to see that that focus is there. And now the Clean Desk Initiative just amplifies that even more of a very specific area. But I think we'll continue to see advancements across the board with different products that could very well fit into the education spectrum for ergonomics as well too. The last topic I wanted to bring up with you, Tanya, is that we talked a lot when the pandemic first started. And basically, you know, you and I are both parents. We both lived through this lovely time of having our kids around 24/7 and trying to work through that as well. I think the conversation has changed a little bit now, though, where before it was kind of a scramble of, oh my goodness, what do I need for home? How can I make my child successful? But as you mentioned, with schools starting to focus more on the tools setting up for success of in-classroom technology, and then those that are still having an option for virtual learning, whether it's part of the public education system or homeschooling. Could you talk a little bit about what those kind of most popular, if you picked maybe 3 products in that education setting for virtual learning, but then in the classroom technology as well?
Absolutely. Yes. And you're absolutely right. There has been a significant shift in conversation, not just amongst school districts and leaders in education, but also families such as you and I. You know, we have had this experience. Obviously, there is most states have confirmed that 100% of them will be returning to in-person instruction in the fall. That does still leave, you know, some parents with wanting to look for alternative options, right? So like you mentioned, there's a homeschooling option for families. There are some school districts in certain states that do have a virtual school that is part of their district. So, you know, we're seeing some growth there with some parents wanting to continue in that virtual learning environment. In terms of the 3, you know, these are kind of my top 3 that I know I talk to not just a lot of educators about, but parents, anybody who wants to listen to me regarding, you know, even just ergonomics and our children. I think there's so much to discuss and so much to educate regarding how can we assist our students, not just because they're doing virtual learning, but even just looking forward. You know, what type of desk setup can we have for our students when they come home from school and they have to do their homework? You know, all those things that we purchased this last year because we were forced to be virtual and we were forced to be home are still going to be helpful. We're still going to need those, and it really sets a nice standard for our children that they know that they're coming home to a really nice setup as well, right? So one for me would be headphones with the mic. Those have really been a game changer for students learning virtually. Obviously, I'm particular to the Kensington headphones. I have my children both use them, and they really block out the sound of that that outside noise that can sometimes distract them. Also, the next product would be the laptop riser. I think, educating students on eye level and how that monitor needs to be at the right place for them is a big learning there. But also what's really great about the laptop riser is that it's adjustable for individuals, right? So if you had a setup in a classroom that had desks with laptop risers, and you had multiple students coming into that classroom, that still works, right? The next class comes in, they put their laptop on the laptop riser, they adjust it to where they know they need it, and boom. So you have hundreds of students coming into this one classroom that has laptop risers, and they're able to use them, right? And then my third favorite would be a seat cushion. I think, that really helps with posture for students and the younger ones, because it really forces them to sit up straight. When they have that seat cushion under them, it really kind of props them up for some students who can't reach some of those tables. And we're looking at, the younger students in elementary levels that have the really big chair and their feet are just dangling, and they still really can't see. So the seat cushion is also a really good solution for that. And again, I feel like these three products, they're successful in the classroom as well as successful at home for anybody who wants to homeschool or anybody who will be continuing that virtual learning, at home. And again, like I said, it's just good to have and have available for your children when they come home to do their homework.
Yeah, I think those are all great recommendations. And I will make a note on the headphones too, that one of the things that does directly relate to ergonomics is that sound decibel qualities. So Kensington headphones stop at a certain level to protect our hearing. I know that even for myself, I want to drown out all the extra sound that's out there. But it doesn't have to be at rock and roll concert levels or anything like that. So they do stop at the recommended decibel rating, so that it's not going to affect our child's hearing or us as adults if you choose to use them as well. And I mean, I think the price points on those things are so incredibly affordable too, that it's also a stress reliever. I just returned from a road trip, and having YouTube blasting in the back seat, it's a much more enjoyable experience if you can have headphones on your child and you can be listening to what you need to or pay attention to the road. But that goes back to everyone working in that smaller space in a classroom or multiple kids in the same room at home. Having those headphones is such a key to having that focused learning, but also healthy in the aspect that they're not having to blast it into their ears either. So, and then with the laptop riser, I feel like it's a little bit of a trick question too, because with the laptop riser, you should always use the external keyboard and mouse with it as well, unless you're on a tablet, which that's always nice too. But we do actually have the small compact keyboard and then the smaller mouse, like the SureTrack mouse, that does fit for a lot of our smaller audience as well. So it's things like that we really do have a pretty good size variety available, even if they're not directly called kids ergonomics or anything like that. There's certainly products in our portfolio that work for all ages of education. So that really is a conversation that I think it's going to continue to evolve. As I said, I think technology and innovation from us as Kensington will continue to just move forward, paying attention to the trends that are out there. But I certainly appreciate your time today, Tanya. I appreciate everyone tuning in from around the world today. If you do want to connect with either of us, Tanya's last name is much easier to spell than mine, but you can connect with us on LinkedIn, Tanya Meza, and myself, Lisa Skidebor-Schuler. We're happy to continue the conversation around some of the insights that we shared today, as well as get you hooked up with either the focus groups or more information on ergonomics in general.